Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to Lunchtime Yoga. We're going to start in a different position today on our backs. So this is called Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined bound angle pose. So I've also heard it called reclined cobbler's pose. So it's basically feet bottoms together. So we're going to lay on our backs, and if it's comfortable for you, you can also roll up a blanket and lay it along your spine to kind of open up your chest. So I'm going to demonstrate for you both options, basically. So if you're rolling up a blanket that you have nearby, you can place it at the bottom of your lumbar spine or your sacrum, and then just slowly lay back. And I would have, make sure that you have a cushion under your head as well, so you don't want your neck going off the blanket like mine is. I'm going to lay flat myself, so come down to your back and then bring your feet together. So the bottoms of your feet are touching, your knees are out to the sides. And then also another option, if this is too much on your hips or even your knees, if you have blocks available or bigger books, you're also welcome to place those underneath your knees. So that just gives you a little support there. So find what feels best for you. And again, if this is not comfortable for you, you can just have your knees up like normal. So I thought we would try this. Can be a very grounding practice, and just thought we'd try something different. So your options are to lay on blocks or a rolled blanket underneath your spine to open up your chest, or to lay flat, and then also to have blocks or books or something underneath your legs to support. And your feet can be as far away from your pelvis as works best for you. So find that spot that's comfortable, and then as you find the best position for your body, just begin to settle into the floor. So we're just practicing our breathing here. Since we're celebrating Earth Week this week, really in yoga we practice, celebrating the earth all the time, and so it's not any different necessarily, but I thought we could do, some more grounding poses today, and really focus on connecting to the earth as we're breathing and practicing. So what I like about laying on our backs is that it gives us an opportunity to connect our breath to a point of contact. So as you take a deep breath in, notice your belly expanding and notice your rib cage expanding against the floor. And then as you exhale, notice your body softening into the ground further, so allowing your spine and your back to just fall into the floor. So I'm already moving my feet just slightly out. This is actually not as comfortable on my knees today. For whatever reason, my knees are just not in a good place. So if it is uncomfortable, feel free to take your hands to the sides of your thighs and pull your legs up, and then just allow your knees to rest in on each other in a bent knee position, and keep your hands on your low belly to breathe. Feel free to keep your feet together in that bound angle pose if that was comfortable for you today. Bring one hand to your low belly and one hand to your heart, and then begin to notice the wave of breath between those two areas of our body. So inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. Maybe inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And just notice if there's any areas of tension or strain in your body, and try to breathe into those areas and allow yourself to soften those areas on the exhale. And then whatever position your legs are in, you can leave them there, or if your legs are out still, you can bring them up to just a regular bent knee position, and just allow your knees to fall in on each other. Let your low back settle into the floor. Bring your hands to your sides, palms facing down, and then inhale the right hand up. Exhale the back of the hand to the floor behind you. Inhale the right hand back up, exhale back down, and then repeat on the left side. Inhale up, exhale the back of the hand down, inhale back up, exhale down, and then take both hands together. Inhale, both hands up, exhale the back of the hands to the floor. Open up the shoulders here. Notice if one shoulder feels a little tighter than the other. Inhale, both hands up. Turn the palms to face each other and reach for opposite elbows. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms over to the right. Come back to center. Inhale, exhale over to the left. And then come back to center. And then exhale the arms to the forehead or to the crown of the head or beyond. So notice what feels best. Lengthening the waist here. And then bring the arms back up, uncross, and then cross over again with opposite arm in front. Inhale, exhale over to the right. Come back to center. Inhale, exhale over to the left. Come back to center and release the arms above the head again. So either to the forehead or the crown of the head. And then separate the knees and lower the knees over to your right. So your feet are still separated, your knees are not stacked. And flex the left foot here. Draw the left knee towards the front of the mat. And breathe. Come back to center. And then release the knees over to the left, flexing the right foot. And keep breathing. Come back to center, lift the arms up above the chest and release the arms to the sides. And then hug the right knee into the chest. And release back down, hug the left knee into the chest. Release back down. And then roll over to your right side. So we may have done this last week. We're going to do this again. So stack the knees in front of the hips at a 90-degree angle, and then stack your hands in front of the shoulders. So kind of like when we're in table pose, but we're laying on our side. And then inhale the left hand up above the head and then to the floor behind you. So opening up the chest here. I'm a little close to the wall, but notice the broadness across the collarbones, the shoulder blades to touch in the back. Inhale and bring the left hand back up and meet the right, and then bend the elbows and roll to the back and over to the left side. So stack the knees again in front of the hips and stack the hands in front of the shoulders. And then inhale the right hand up. Exhale the right hand behind you. Opening up the chest, opening up the ribs. Lengthening out through the right fingertips. And then inhale the right hand up and bring the hands together. And then push into your right hand and come up to seated. Bring your hands to your knees or thighs and then just begin to roll the shoulders. So inhale, bring the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. You may notice some crunchy spots in your shoulders or just kind of notice if anything's sticky today. Good, and then come back to center. And then begin to lower the chin down to the chest. So allowing gravity to bring the head down and then roll the head for the right ear to touch the right shoulder, but not lifting the shoulder, just kind of allowing the head to drop to the right. And then turn the chin so you're gazing down to your right side. And then turn the face front again and roll the head down through center and over to the left. Stretching out the right side this time, allowing that left shoulder to stay down. And then turn the chin towards the left collarbone, gazing down to the left side. Turn the face front and roll the head back through center. Take your palms of your hands and bring them to your forehead and then lift the head. And release the hands back down. Turn the palms up and inhale the hands all the way up. Touch the palms, bring the hands to the heart. Turn the fingertips away from you and straighten out the arms, rounding the upper back, separating the shoulder blades, lowering the chin. Inhale and open the hands out to the sides, reaching back with the hands, opening up the chest. And then bring the hands out in front of you again. Exhale, empty the belly. And one more time, opening up, inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands out in front of you. Bend the elbows. And then clasp the hands. So we're taking the hands out in front of you, but we're turning the palms away from the body this time. So pushing out through the palms, fingers are clasped. And then draw the shoulders back in space so that we're not rounding here. So we're drawing the shoulders back, keeping the spine nice and straight, and then lift the arms up above the head. So the thumbs are pointing up towards the sky. The pinky fingers, you're imagining that you're drawing them down in space. So kind of turning them back and down. And then release the hands back to the sides. Turn the left palm up. Inhale and reach all the way up. Bring the palm to the back of the head and walk the right hand out. And lean over to the right. So opening up the left elbow, shoulder here. And come back to center and release the hand back down. Turn the right palm up, inhale and reach and lengthen, and then bend the elbow, place the palm on the back of the head and reach out with the left hand. Again, opening up the right elbow here. And then come back to center, release the hand back down, turn both palms up, inhale all the way up, lengthen. Reach out with the hands and then bring your right hand behind you and come into a twist. Release the left hand in front of you, right hand behind. Lift from the navel, so we're not trying to, we don't want to hurt your low back here. So we're lifting from the navel and twisting from the core here. And then bring the left hand to the right knee. Inhale and lengthen and extend, and then exhale, soften into the twist fully. Release the hands above the head again. Lengthen and stretch, and then bring the left hand behind you, the right hand in front, fingertips away from the body. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, come back into the twist even more. And then inhale, reach all the way up. Release the hands back down. And then one more, we'll just forward fold over the legs. So bring the hands in front of you and walk them out. And lower the head down. And then walk the hands back in, support your body with your hands. Lean back and untuck the legs and then bring the other leg in front. And then walk the hands forward again. Notice the difference between one side and the other. And then walk the hands back in. And now we'll come into hands and knees on all fours. So keep your fingers and palms nice and wide, feet behind the knees, hands under the shoulders. And then instead of doing cat-cow today, we're going to do something a little different. So we're rotating the hips to the left side first, and then up to the left hand, over to the right hand, and then back to the right heel. So we're not going all the way back to the heel, but we're moving in sort of a box position. So we're moving in or I guess in a clockwise motion is what I should say. Sorry. Because we're not really doing like a square, we're doing more of a circle, but we're just rotating the hips around in a circle here. Sometimes I say things a little more difficult than they need to be said, so. And this is totally organic and fluid, so following your own breath and just allowing your body to move in your own rhythm here. And then reverse the circle. So if you're going clockwise, then go counterclockwise and vice versa. And we're just bringing more fluid and motion into the hips here and shoulders. And feel free, if you have knee sensitivity, if this is bothering your knees, you can use a blanket underneath your knees to just pad a little bit. And then come back to center and take your right foot back out behind you, keeping the ball of your foot on the floor to start and just reaching out through the right heel. Stretch and reach. And then come up on the ball of the foot and lift the right foot up. Bring the weight into the right hand and lift the left arm up. Balance table. Keep your core engaged. Keep breathing. Release the tongue and the jaw. And then release the left hand, release the right knee. Bring the left foot out behind you. Reach out through the left heel. Feel free to rock back and forth if that feels good, or just stay still and just really push out through that heel. Notice the length in the back of the leg. And then lift the left foot up. Lift the right arm out. Keep the core engaged. Balance your table. Try not to drop the low back like I did. And then release the right hand, release the left knee. And then tuck the toes under, bring the hands just slightly in front of the shoulders, and just slowly move the hips back and come into a half dog to start. And then release the knees from the floor and lift the hips up towards the sky. So keep the knees bent, reach out through the hands, and come into your first downward facing dog. And then maybe pedal out your legs, so alternate bending one knee and straightening the other. And then lift the heels up to the sky and then bring both heels down towards the floor together, straightening both legs. Look up towards your hands, inhale and exhale completely, and then walk the feet forward and come into standing forward bend. Snap back. Okay. So keep a slight bend in the knee if that's more comfortable for you, but just allow your head to hang in this pose. Hands towards the floor or to the floor. Release the head, neck, and shoulders as best you can. And then bring the hands to the shins and come to a flat back and a half lift here. So reaching out through the crown of the head, lengthening the spine, and then fold forward. And then slowly just roll up to mountain pose, so allowing your head to stay down as long as you can, and come into mountain pose. So we're grounding the feet into the floor. Sorry. Finding the balance in your feet. Drawing the leg line down, rooting the feet down, and then bringing the navel to the spine and dropping the sacrum down between the heels, rolling the shoulders back and open and allowing the fingertips to point down to the floor. And just imagine the majesty of a mountain and the strength, stability. Take note of your alignment. Turn the palms up, inhale the hands all the way up to the sky, reaching out through the fingertips, lifting and maybe gazing upward. And then release the hands first to your hips and find your hip crease and fold forward again into standing forward bend. Come up to the shins and work towards a flat back into a half lift. And then fold forward. Place the hands on the floor and step back to downward dog. And then come forward into plank. And you can feel free to do a full plank or come down to your knees and modify. And then lower down to your belly. Bring the hands to the low ribs and come up into a low cobra, so just lifting the head, neck, and shoulders. Keeping the core engaged to protect your low back. Release back down. Tuck the toes and come back up through table. And then into downward dog. And then look up through your hands, and this time we're just bringing the right foot forward. So if it doesn't quite make it to your hands, feel free to reach back and bring it forward with your right hand. And keep the left foot back in a lunge. So if you have blocks handy, Feel free to put those underneath your shoulders. If you don't, you can modify however you're able at home. I know it's difficult if people don't have blocks or props. And then lower the left knee down, point the left toes, and just bend into that right knee. Stretching out the front of the left thigh. Bring the hands to the right knee and lift the chest up. And then release the hands down. Inhale all the way up, reaching up and overhead. Maybe gazing upward. Touch the palms here, and then bring the hands down, and we're twisting to the right. So bring your left elbow to your right knee. And if you feel comfortable here, feel free to stay here. If you want to go a little further, you can tuck the toes under on the left leg and lift the left knee up and come into a twist. Stay focused for balance and keep breathing. And then release the hands down. Move your blocks off to the side if you have blocks. And step your right foot back to meet your left into downward dog. Take a good breath here. And then look up towards your hands. Inhale and exhale. And come into standing forward bend once more. So release the head down. Maybe shake your head no. And nod your head yes. And just allow any tensions to release out of the crown of your head and through your fingertips. And then come up to a half lift. Work towards a flat back. Fold forward. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up to mountain. Sweep your hands up and overhead into upward hand pose. And then bring your hands to your hips once more. This time, instead of folding forward first, we're going to bend the knees and we're coming into a deeper squat here. So sometimes we call this chair pose. I like to call it a powerful or fierce pose. So we're sinking the thighs down to be parallel with the floor. And then stay here with your hands on your hips or release the hands and bring them out in front of you into your front diagonal here. Keep breathing. And then release the hands out to your sides and fold forward. Reach for your blocks if you have them and step the right foot back to a lunge. Bend that left knee. Lower the right foot down and point the toes. Bend into that left knee and just feel the stretch along the front of the right thigh. And then bring your hands to your knee and lift the chest up. Release the hands, lift them up and overhead. And then touch the palms together. Bring the right elbow to the left knee. And again, stay here if this is enough for you. If you would like to go further, you can tuck the toes on the right foot and lift the right knee up and come into a full twist. And then release the hands back to your blocks. Move the blocks off to the side. And step back to downward dog again. Come forward into your plank. So stay in a full plank if that's comfortable, or lower the knees down. If you lower the knees down, you can come down to your belly with knees, chest, and chin first, keeping the hips elevated. And then lower the hips and point the toes. And bring the hands in front of you into Sphinx pose. So palms flat to the floor, elbows underneath the shoulders, lift the chest, gaze forward. And then inhale, exhale, and gaze over the right shoulder to the right heel. Stretch out that left side. And then come back to center. Inhale, exhale, gazing over the left shoulder to the left heel. And come back to center. Lower back down to your belly. And then before we come up again, pillow your hands. Sorry, the camera is not working for me today. So pillow your hands in front of your head and then just release your forehead to your hands. And allow yourself to reconnect with your breath for just a moment here. So notice your belly expand against the floor. Feel your ribs pressing against the floor. And then exhale and soften and notice your ribs contracting again. So expanding on the inhale against the floor and then contracting on the exhale. Try to maintain that connection to the ground in order to keep track of your breath, making sure that we're fully filling our belly when we are breathing. And then lift the head and bring the hands to the sides of you once more. And come up into table. So stay in table again, so all fours. Hands are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. And then this time we're reaching the right foot back like we did before, but we're bringing the right foot over to the side. So the toes on the right foot, I'm really sorry you can't see that right now, but the toes on the right foot are pointing forward. So we're stretching out to the right here. And then bring your right hand to your hip and bring your left hand to your hip and stand up on your knee. And then release the left hand and reach up and over and then just slightly bending over to your right. So lengthening out the left side. And this is called gate pose. So you can keep your hand on your hip or even stretch it down if that's more comfortable, down your leg. And then come back up, release the hand back down. And then lower the hands back to the floor and bring the right foot back again. And bend the right knee. And then straighten out the left leg. So repeating the same thing. I'm just realizing that I'm close to the wall here, so bear with me. Okay, and then we're reaching the left leg out this time. So the left toes are pointing out, and you're trying to flatten your left foot as best you can. Bring the left hand to the hip and the right hand to the hip. So you can see my foot a little bit better this time than you could on the other side. And then release the right hand and bring it up and over and then bend over to the left. And again, you can kind of leave your left hand down if that's more comfortable. Come back up to center, release the hands back to your mat, and then bring the left foot back behind you, bend the left knee, tuck the toes under. Actually, let's come into a child's pose. So open the knees wide, bring the big toes to touch and sink your hips back to your heels and reach your arms out in front of you and just lower your head to the floor. Breathe into your low back here. And then come forward just to bring your knees together so your legs are parallel. Tuck the toes under and come into downward dog once more. Deep inhale, long exhale.
And then step the feet forward or walk the feet forward into standing forward bend. And then kind of come on a half lift here, but we're stepping the right foot back and then pivoting on the right heel to point the toes to the side, and then pivot on the left heel so you're coming into your wide angle stance on the long edge of your mat here. So both feet should be pointed toes towards the long edge here. And then come into a forward fold here with your toes pointed to the long edge. Bend the right knee, lengthen out the left leg. Come back to center and bend the left knee. And come back to center, bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up. And then pivot on the right heel, point the right toes to the short edge of your mat. And then bend that right knee and keep your hips square. So kind of dropping the left heel back just slightly, keeping the hips square with the side of the mat, and then float the arms up, parallel with the floor, and look over your right hand. Bring the left hand to the left hip and straighten that right leg. And then point the right palm away from you, pushing out with that right palm, lengthening first before you come into a fold. So if you have a block handy, feel free to bring your hand to your block, or just bring your hand down to your shin. Open up that left shoulder, and if it's comfortable, reach that left hand up and over. Triangle pose. Trikonasana. Release the left hand back down. Bend that right knee and come back into warrior two. Pivot on the heel of the right foot, hands to the hips, and then pivot on the left heel. Bend the left knee. Keep the hips square to the long edge of the mat. Drop that right heel back, and then float the hands up and over, or up parallel with the floor, looking over the left hand. Bring the right hand to the right hip, and then straighten the left hand, or the left leg. Point the left palm away from the body and lengthen and reach before folding over. So lengthen, 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 and then fold over. Bring the hand to the shin. Open up the right shoulder and maybe reach your arm up and over. Bring the right hand back down, bend the left knee, both hands to the hips and pivot on the heel, and then heel toe the feet back in. Shake out the legs a little bit. Inhale the hands all the way up, touch the palms and bring the hands to the heart. Reconnect with your breath in mountain pose. And I think we did it last week as well. I apologize for forgetting week to week, but in honor of Earth Week, let's go ahead and do our tree pose and check in with how we're doing with our tree pose today. So shake out your legs, get them ready, and then we'll go on the right foot first. We'll ground that into the floor, find the midpoint of your foot, and just begin to take the weight out of your left foot. So maybe just bring your hands to your hips just to start. And then turn the left knee out, and you can bring your foot to your ankle or to your calf. That's great if you want to stay there. Just avoid the knee joint. Otherwise, you can come up to your inner thigh. And if you're coming all the way up, you want to push that left foot into the right leg and just really ground that right leg in. So imagining the roots of a tree. digging into the ground and just finding that focal point. So find a place in front of you that's not moving that you can focus on, a drishti. Feel free to keep your hands here if that's best for you today, or you can bring your hands to a prayer at your heart, or you can bring your hands above the head. And if you want to grow your tree, you can open your hands all the way out. Stay focused for balance. Keep breathing. Challenge yourself to continue to stay focused. Know that you are like a tree and you are able to remain rooted and grounded. Bring your hands to touch and release the hands back down. Bring the left knee in front of you and lower the left foot. And shake out your legs just a little. And then begin to root the left leg in to the ground. Hands to the hips. Turn the right knee out and bring the right foot to the ankle or the calf, or even all the way up to the inner thigh. So pushing that leg, that foot into the standing leg. It's okay for your tree to wobble and sway. Bring your hands to your heart. Maybe bring your hands above the head. And maybe grow your tree out to the side. Find the spot that feels best for you. And then release the hands back down. Bring the right knee in front of you. Release the right foot. Shake it out a little bit. And come to the back of your mat. Feet are the width of your mat here. And then bring the hands behind you and clasp the hands. You know what, actually, let's bring the hands to your opposite elbows here. So let's try that today instead. Holding on to opposite elbows and just begin to hinge at the hips again, fold forward. And then stay here at your midway point, and just notice if you can lengthen your spine here. So keeping your back flat. And then release the hands from your elbows and bring them out in front of you and walk the hands forward into your downward dog. So your feet are still pretty wide here, and you can even turn your toes in just slightly. Stretch out the hamstrings and the back of the thighs. And then come forward into your plank. Maybe lower your knees down. Point the toes and come all the way down to your belly. And then come up into a low cobra or a full cobra, or even an upward facing dog if that's comfortable for your low back today. And then lower back down. Come up into table and just kind of crawl forward. We're coming to seated at the front of your mat. And we're going to lower back down to our backs and return to where we started. Feel free to put your socks back on at this point if you'd like. And just kind of begin to get yourself ready to have your rest here. So before we do Shavasana, let's just settle back into the floor, settle back into your breath. And bring your feet just about hips distance apart. Allow your knees to be separated, and then bring your hands over to your sides. Bend your elbows and push into your elbows to puff your chest out. So broaden across the collarbones and open the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Lower the forearms and the palms to the floor. And then we'll come into bridge pose. So push into your heels and lift the hips up. So bridge pose is not about how high you can get your hips, but rather how much you can keep your chin and your throat and your collarbones and everything nice and open and broad while you're lifting your hips up. So as soon as you go too far up, you'll notice that you cave in those other areas. So keep your hips right where it's comfortable for your body. And then slowly lower down one vertebra at a time. And take a breath here. Bring your right knee into your chest and hug it in. Cross the right ankle over the left knee and bring the left knee in. And then just begin to straighten the left foot, or the left knee, sorry. So flexing the left foot, straightening the knee, and just holding on to the back of the thigh for support. Bend the left knee and then release the left foot to the ground. Release the right foot down and then bring the left knee into the chest once more. Cross the left ankle over the right knee and bring the right knee in. And then begin to straighten the right leg here. So flexing the right foot. Bend the right knee, release the right foot down, uncross the left ankle. Take a breath. And then hug both knees into the chest and just rock back and forth, massaging out the low back. Circle the knees around, massage out the sacrum. And then reverse that circle the other way. And release the feet back down and then set up for Shavasana. So Shavasana is our final resting pose. It's just as important as the active poses. So I encourage you to stick around for just this final part of your practice. It's a good opportunity to allow your body to rest and maybe do a little meditation. So find a comfortable position. Oftentimes people lay on their backs, or you can lay on your side, or slightly propped up even if that's more comfortable for you. So find what works. And allow your body to begin softening. So maybe roll your ankles around in a circle and release any tension that might be left in your feet. Feel the individual toes soften, the arch of your foot and the top of your foot. And allow your ankles to just settle into the ground and fall open. And then moving up your legs, release the tops of the shins and the calves, the kneecaps and the back of the knees. Release the hamstrings and the top of the thighs. Release the backs of the thighs and the glutes. Release the hips and the pelvis. Release the low belly and all the inner organs. take one hand and place it right on the top of your belly, below your ribs, right where your solar plexus is, and take a breath here. And allow yourself to release any tension that you're holding on to in that area. Notice it just releasing and softening into the floor. And allow your hand to drop open again. Release the ribs and the collarbones, the top of the shoulders. Release the upper arms and the forearms and elbows. Take your thumbs and place your thumbs on each individual fingertip, softening the fingers, and go back to the other direction. And then just allow your hands to fall open gently, fingers curled. Release the neck, the jaw, the tongue, the soft palate. Release the base of the skull. Release the ears and all the facial muscles. Find that spot in between your eyebrows that always tends to hold on to pressure and tension, and just try to release and soften. Release the eyes and the forehead, the back of the head into the floor. And just to give your body this moment to just be, to just soften and release. Begin to come back into the room and maybe wiggle your fingers and toes and deepen your breath again. Notice how you feel. Maybe stretch your arms above your head and just kind of bring a little more movement back to your body. And when you're ready, you can roll over to your right side and stay there while your blood recirculates, and just breathe. And then push into your left hand and come up to seated and meet me there. Bring your hands to your sides and turn your palms up, and inhale the hands all the way up. Touch the palms and bring them to your heart. With gratitude and love, thank you so much for practicing with me today. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks, everyone. Take good care.